Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman, and it's episode 261. Hope you're enjoying the Labor Day long weekend so far and making the most out of it. You know, I'd like to say it's our last hurrah this summer, but hey, we still do have 3 more weeks of summer on the books, officially. So maybe a tad premature to say that. But I digress. We have such a packed Tech It Out for you this hour with 5 different guests that I better just get to who's on tap and dispense with the small talk. We're going to kick things off with Aiden CPR. This is a chatbot that teaches you how to perform CPR and first aid. After that, tech expert Amber Mack will join us. She shares some back-to-school tech ideas. Agency will be on the program to talk about protecting kids online as they head back to school this season. We'll talk with a cleaning expert and viral video star about smart homes and how LG fits in. And finally, IBM Sports will join us on what they're doing with data from tennis and football and other sports and how they're using it in creative ways to better engage with fans. All of this and more on an all-new Tech It Out, powered by ASUS, for those in search of incredible. I'll tell you more about ASUS shortly, but let's officially kick off a brand new Tech It Out with our first interview. It's no secret technology is transforming every industry for the better. Thankfully, that includes healthcare and emergency situations. With that, while it sounds like science fiction, there's a new chatbot called Aiden that's designed to teach you CPR and first aid through easy-to-follow, bite-sized text messages. Joining us to discuss is Dr. Carl Black, medical director and co-founder at AidenCPR.com. He's also an interventional and neuroradiologist. Thank you, Dr. Black, for your time. Nice to chat with you.
Nice to chat with you, Mark. Thank you.
So this is a chatbot. Maybe we can start off with explaining what a chatbot is and what is Aiden all about?
Yeah, great question. So chatbots are used in a number of industries. The reason that a chatbot is successful is that it creates a micro-learning environment where you have interactions in a piecemeal way with whoever's using it. Learning all that material and actually applying it can be significant. So a chatbot will piece it up and tee it up in smaller elements and interact with somebody so that they can retain it better. The chatbot is basically like a digital learning assistant.
Okay. A lot of our listeners are going to be familiar with chatbots if they've ever talked online on a website with a store, a text-based conversation, and they're asking questions or making comments, and then they're getting a very quick and human-like response back. But it is, in fact, in many cases, a chatbot or a robotic and AI assistant that only kicks over to a real human once it can't figure out what you're asking. But for the most part, they're getting smarter and smarter. So it's interacting with technology in a conversational-like way, and this is what Aiden is all about, but focusing on CPR. So let's hear about this solution.
We've worked on many medical applications that range from, recovering from surgery, for example, after a knee replacement surgery or a hip replacement surgery, to helping women through pregnancy. We've developed chatbots that help people with cancer, with weight loss, a lot of other clinical indications. What we realized is there's actually a big need in the public arena for learning and retaining the basic components of successful CPR or effective CPR. Because it statistically, if all of us are probably going to encounter someone with a medical emergency, what you'll find is when somebody needs CPR, they collapse, they're either having a heart attack or some type of irregular heart rhythm, or they're choking on something, that people often look like a deer in the headlights and they'll freeze because they get nervous and their nerves get the best of them. And unless you're able to spontaneously think of what the next steps are, even simple things like basic CPR go undelivered while people just stare and wait for someone else to come along. And sometimes, unfortunately, waiting for someone else to come along can be too late.
Yeah.
And so that's our real push with CPR, because CPR, number one, is important. Everybody should know basic CPR, in my opinion. If we are going to know it, it has to feel natural and it has to be spontaneous. And that's where Aiden comes in, because Aiden can help people feel more comfortable, where they don't have to think, wow, what did I learn in that class? What was the next step? Even if it's basic.
Mm-hmm. All right. So with that in mind, please walk us through how it works. All right. So there's an emergency somewhere, you're at home or at a restaurant, someone needs CPR. So how do you enable this chatbot?
The American Heart Association has a CPR curriculum, basic life support, that's available to the general public. Those kind of emergencies can range from someone dealing with a heart attack to someone perhaps that is choking on something. I remember a time with my own kids. My daughter was very, very young and was choking on a piece of pizza. And there were several adults in the room when I walked in and saw them panicked. And she was actually starting to turn bluish and was in obvious respiratory distress. It is impressed on my mind how necessary this is, because despite having caregivers around her and adults that theoretically would know how to deal with this, everybody was just frozen.
Yeah.
But if you know how to handle choking, in just a few minutes, I was able to help her and help get the pizza out of her airway, and then she was able to start breathing again. And that's just a small example. If somebody passes out on a subway, what should you do next?
Yeah. Pardon my ignorance. If someone's choking, wouldn't that be more like a Heimlich maneuver?
Yeah, but that's all part of what we're treating. CPR is a broad term for dealing with medical emergencies that the general public should know how to deal with.
I see. So it's an umbrella term. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always think of like chest compressions with CPR.
Yep. And that's good. You should think of that. But there are some things that you do before that, especially in kids. And if somebody's if you're at a table and you witness somebody choking, you're not going to initially need to do chest compressions. It might come to that later.
Right.
But initially, like you said, you need to know how to do a Heimlich. But Aiden helps reinforce some of those concepts. A checklist in your mind might be a way to think about. And because Aiden interacts with someone over a period of time and it can be repeated, then it reinforces small concepts that become second nature. Okay,
so it's not something that you may enable at that point in time. It's something No. Okay, all right. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, I wouldn't want any of your listeners, your audience, to think that you'd pull out your phone and say, oh, Aiden.
Yeah, because I would think you'd panic and you're going to forget how to enable that. So let's say it's not an emergency situation, but you want to keep up on how to perform CPR. How do you use Aiden?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's exactly where Aiden's going to be used.
Got it.
No emergencies. You're calm. You want to learn CPR. This is not meant to actually substitute for a hands-on CPR course where you are learning chest compressions, where you are learning the Heimlich maneuver or an automatic external defibrillator. So if you take that, then using Aiden, you can reinforce that. And this could be used as an ongoing refresher course. It could teach you the basics of CPR, but still it's better to have perhaps a more formal online course to help you. But in that environment, over several days after you've interacted with Aiden, you're going to feel much more comfortable about CPR in an environment where everybody's panicked.
We're chatting with Dr. Carl Black. He is the medical director and co-founder at AidenCPR.com. That's AIDEN CPR.com. This is a chatbot that can teach you the mechanics or the basics of CPR, performing CPR in the event of an emergency. So do you need a phone? Is because a chatbot is usually a text message or a messaging service of some sort?
So you just need a device that will handle messaging. This is sent through SMS.
Okay, so a phone then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's easy. Go to our website. You basically there you can purchase Aiden for a group or for an individual. And once it's activated, you simply text a keyword to the number that's provided and Aiden will launch on your phone.
All right. And then because it's a chat bot, it's like a conversation. There's a back and forth there where it'll teach you the basics.
Testing what you're retaining. And depending on your answer, if you get a wrong answer, if you need a different direction, or if you can text a keyword, then it will reinforce those concepts. It also takes you through a few clinical scenarios of situations where somebody is experiencing an emergency. What do you do in those situations?
So I guess my last question, Dr. Black, is, there's no shortage of information online. It's not always accurate, but I think if you Googled how to perform CPR, or you go to YouTube or what have you, you could probably get virtual lessons. And as you suggested, it's nowhere near as good as actually taking a course. But what does the chatbot part bring to the table? Like, why is that interesting to you?
Excellent question. The reason it's interesting is it creates a micro-learning environment. There is a plethora of information, excellent information on the web. So to learn CPR, you can go to any number of resources on the web, no problem at all. But it's all about retaining it. That's where a chatbot shines, because it creates a micro-learning environment where it's pieced out to you over time. And that's where the chatbot shines.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. And then you hinted at cost. So as we wrap up, the website again is aidencpr.com, AIDENCPR.com. And what is the pricing for an individual or a group, like a family?
So the pricing per an individual is around $7 per license. And then for groups of up to 10 is a bulk pricing that's around $50.
Okay, and that's a one-time fee.
One-time fee, yeah.
Okay, AIDENCPR.com. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Black. I appreciate the conversation and information.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network, powered by ASUS, for those in search of incredible. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, and that includes its line of award-winning laptops and desktops, monitors, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. Speaking of laptops and other gear, we're going to chat with tech expert Amber Mack after this short break on some recommendations for students as they head back into the classroom. We'll be right back.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out with Back to School here. Cue the eye rolling, kids. It's a good time to get organized when it comes to your technology. Joining us now with some essential tech tips for a smooth September is tech expert, supermom, and friend of this show, Amber Mack. Hi, Amber. Thanks for coming back on.
Hey, Mark, thanks so much for having me. I can't believe that it's back to school. The summer flew by as always.
I used to get so depressed this time of year, but at the very least, kids today have access to so much tech that can help them out, both during school hours, during their 9 to 5 school life, as well as their downtime, their 5 to 9 playtime, let's say, after homework, of course. And the first product that you wanted to start off with, I think, can serve as double duty here. It's a new laptop.
Yeah. So I think a lot of parents are thinking about what type of laptop should I buy? I know you've written even recently a great article on this topic. And
thank you.
Yeah, it was a really good read. And I wanted to recommend one of my favorites. It's the Acer Swift 3 Intel Evo. This is a really lightweight laptop. It has 10.5 hours of battery life. It's Intel Evo certified. So you know that it's passed some great quality and performance standards. You can check out online in terms of the prices.
Yeah, actually, speaking of prices, for everything Amber is talking about, it's easiest to just go to ambermack.com and you'll see all the pricing and videos of the products there. Speaking of getting online, definitely Wi-Fi is something that is often overlooked, especially if it's been a few years since you've upgraded your router or your mesh system, because the more devices we have on our network at the same time really bogs down performance. So talk to us about what's new here.
Yeah, so we've talked about this before on the show in terms of a whole home mesh Wi-Fi system. So what I wanted to recommend is the TP-Link Deco XE75, a new product from TP-Link. So you can think about having these devices. You can get them in a 2-pack or a 3-pack. You would place one on every floor, for example, to kind of blanket the house in Wi-Fi. It will cover up to a 5,500 square foot home, which is a massive home. And it even gives parents lots of controls within the app to do things such as pausing the internet for homework time. But really, you're kind of creating these fast lanes to the internet highway. And I think that's what we're thinking about as more and more of us are using more devices.
All right. And I like with these mesh systems that it's modular. If you want to add more pucks or hubs in different rooms over time, you can. But out of the box, you get 2 or 3, like you will with the TP-Link Deco XE75 solution. And it's not just faster speeds and broader range, but as you said, support for more simultaneous devices on the network and also parental controls.
And also, I should say that it's Wi-Fi 6E. I'm sure you've talked a lot about this, Mark, in terms of this new standard of Wi-Fi.
So we are talking with Amber Mack. She is a digital lifestyle expert and a frequent guest on this program. We're talking back to school tech. But it would be remiss not to acknowledge the fact that we're letting our kids access the internet, often without adult supervision nearby, like parents are working. So how can you help make sure that your kids and their devices are protected when you can't always be there?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a reality, right? There are so many threats out there when it comes to malware and spyware. And one way that you can help to keep all of those devices protected, your kids' devices that they're taking to school or devices in the home, is to think about security software. So Norton 360 Deluxe is one example that I've been using in my home with all of our devices. So a few things you can do. Like I said, it helps to protect you from those threats that exist. You can also use it through some of the features that can help to minimize online distractions. This is something a lot of people probably don't think about. But for example, there are parental controls built in. So you can block certain sites that you deem either, inappropriate for your kid, or maybe you just want them to focus more on homework. You can also use a feature that allows you to have a VPN, a virtual private network for online privacy. Probably a little bit better for those older kids, in college who are going out and using the internet in a cafe, for example. So This really is all about protection.
All right. Norton 360 Deluxe starts at only $49 for the year. That's a discounted rate, and it gives you protection for up to 5 devices. And that could be a combination of Windows, Mac, Android, or iOS. So that's iPhone and iPad. There's up to 50 gigabytes of free cloud backup included, which is handy for protecting your files, and parental controls, as Amber said. I love your videos, by the way, on social media. I've seen them on Twitter about Norton 360 and protecting your family and their devices with this suite of software solutions, which is great.
Something I think all of us are just sort of paying more attention to. It just feels like the threats are increasing. And so we all have to pay attention to this.
Mm-hmm. The irony, I guess, is that as parents, our job is to protect our kids, yet they understand the internet better than us. So this is where we need tools like this to help out parents, who might feel like Luddites in this digital age. Why don't we end off? Look, it's been a tough year, economically for many, with inflation and just, really higher costs across the board for everything. And tech is no exception. So why don't we end off with considering a refurbished product, but with a guarantee?
Yeah. So eBay Refurbished is an excellent place to go if you want those like new products from those big brand names. So what's great is that you can get access to all of the top tech brands here. These are refurbished products. So what's great about this is that you do get that high quality that's guaranteed through eBay Refurbished. So they have a really excellent program, also includes eBay's money back guarantee. So you really have peace of mind when you're buying refurbished. For example, I just got a Samsung tablet that is from eBay Refurbished, and it's like new right out of the box. I'm sure you've had a similar experience in terms of it's pretty amazing how much money you can save, up to 50% on some items, but still get that quality. But again, at a price point that may be better for your family.
All right. So the website is ebay.com/refurbished. And that's where you'll see everything that they have. And if it's certified refurbished, it's backed by a 2-year warranty. Amber, always great chatting with you. Thanks so much for carving out some time to talk this back to school season. And I hope your little guy does really well coming into this new year, this new season.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks very much for having me on the show.
Speaking of back to school and kids, when we return on Tech It Out, we're going to catch up with a company called Agency about how to best protect kids online when you're not always there with them. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out. As we enter a new school year and kids are likely going to be spending more time online, parents should not underestimate the importance of cybersecurity to keep them safe from cyber predators and cyber thieves alike. Ironically, the parents may not be as tech savvy as the kids. So how can we best protect them? To discuss this, we're joined on the line by Amir Taragat. He's co-founder and CEO of a cybersecurity company called Agency. Welcome to the program, Amir. Great to chat with you.
Great to be here. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, awesome. Now, before we talk tips on better protecting kids online this school year, let's hear a little bit about Agency. Tell us about the company.
Yeah, I founded Agency with my co-founder, Tyler, in 2020. We wanted to create a cybersecurity company that gives individuals who are the highest risk for cyber attacks the same level of cybersecurity and protection that large companies do. while maintaining their privacy. So our product is advanced software that goes on all devices, iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, coupled with 24/7 active monitoring and support to protect our customers. So we do everything from protecting against malware, viruses, phishing, but also things that we do off the device, like scan the dark web for data breaches and compromised information, and actually help our individuals get protected from those things. Finally, on top of that, Agency is the first cybersecurity company that has a personal cyber guarantee, which has over $150,000 to cover families for cyber incidents.
Huh. So it's kind of like a cyber insurance, if you will?
Yeah, it has a lot of similarities to cyber insurance. So if something happens while you're protected by Agency, we actually help you recover some of that money, pay for expenses that might be related to recovery as well.
Interesting. As we continue on and chat about kids, maybe we can just plug a website where our listeners can read more about this guarantee while they're listening about kids.
Absolutely. Our website is getagency.com, getagency.com.
Okay, getagency.com. All right, now let's chat about the kids. What cyber risks do they face exactly? And are they different than what parents will face?
Yeah, so kids are some of the most active internet users, making them all the more vulnerable to cyber attacks. Plus, they don't have the experience and critical thinking that adults do, so they're less prepared to deal with things that could threaten their privacy or information.
Yeah, they're more trusting.
Yeah, I mean, they probably aren't expecting somebody in a game they're using like Roblox to ask them for their personal information or exchange in-game currency for that sort of stuff, as we've seen happen in the past.
Got it.
Cyber risks for kids run the gamut because they're exposed to things that are specific to children, like cyber bullies, online predators, but also everything else that adults are exposed to as well, like technical threats like downloading malware, phishing, internet scams. Cyber criminals treat stolen data on the internet like a commodity. So they're not really thinking about who they're attacking. If you have an email address, you probably have a website you've used, have some breach data on the dark web, and they're just plugging away at all the people equally. So kids are more at risk even than adults.
Scary, but a great point. Are things any better today or worse than, say, a couple of years ago? I mean, I heard the pandemic opened up a whole other set of risks.
Well, in 2021, the average number of cyber attacks and data breaches increased more than 15% from the previous year. So definitely in general, it's gone up. The biggest kind of change that's happened in the last few years is that as companies have gotten better technologies and more robust security, attackers have shifted from focusing on the traditional targets of company systems to focusing on individuals as an entryway to all the organizations that they're a conduit for. So more attacks are happening on individuals now than ever before.
Whether it's social engineering, where you work somewhere and you're duped into believing an email is legitimate when it's not, and you inadvertently give someone access to the company's data, we're increasingly becoming victims of things like ransomware. So yeah, very scary indeed. So you've identified the threats, Amir. Let's now talk about your tips to protecting kids online. I know you've got a list that you'd like to go through. What would be number one?
My first tip is that parents should review the security settings and privacy policies for all the apps and websites that your kids use. If they're spending a lot of time on apps, you want to be aware of how much personal data is being shared with the site, what permissions are on, say, location, as well as turning on some of the security and privacy settings like two-factor authentication are really important.
Yeah, that's a good one. So two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication is when you not only need a password to log into your online account, but a one-time use code often sent to a phone to confirm it's really you. So you need that and the password. So that's a good tip, Amir. We are chatting with Amir Taragat. He's co-founder and CEO of Agency, a cybersecurity company. Number 2 on your list to protecting kids this school year is talking with them about the risks. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, that's right. It's important to have an open dialogue with your kids about internet and just media literacy and the ways they can protect themselves and be smart. Kids may not intuitively understand that there are people trying to steal their information or that their information is valuable, like just giving away their email address or their home address or their date of birth. So, and they should also be able to recognize the signs of malware and phishing sites and fan sites that are malicious.
And as awkward as it can be to discuss things like sexting or cyberbullying, I know it's critical that they keep an open dialogue with mom and dad and know that there's no repercussions for them, so they won't be afraid to come to you, or at the very least, maybe speak to someone at their school if they're not comfortable at home. But this supersedes, in my opinion, any software that you can put in place to filter or block these threats. Number 3, Amir, would be cybersecurity tools. I'm assuming this is where agency comes in.
Definitely, adjusting your online behavior can only do so much. You also need tools to protect yourself and a security plan. You can't expect your device maker or the apps that you use to be responsible for your security. And so it's important that, you have up-to-date software, you have something to protect you against these phishing and malware and online threats. For example, at Agency, we have a family plan that involves device protection for up to 10 devices and that coverage of $150,000.
Getagency.com. Amir, as we wrap up, any other thoughts?
Definitely. I also mentioned that if your kids have bank accounts or access to payment information, your information's kind of at risk too. So you want to make sure that however they're handling payments or stored payment information, you're mindful of that as well.
All great tips. And then getagency.com is the best place to get going. How much does the agency software start? I'm assuming it's an annual subscription. And you said there is a family plan as well, but how much are we looking at per month or so?
It starts at $20 a month. So it's very affordable. And you can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram.
All right. Amir Taragat, great to chat with you. Thanks so much for carving out some time to chat about this important topic.
It was great chatting with you. Thanks, Mark.
We have 5 guests on this week's Tech It Out, a packed show for you. We got 2 more coming up. A cleaning expert who you likely know from YouTube and other platforms. She'll be with us to chat about connected homes when we return, followed by IBM Sports and how they're using data in interesting ways to better engage with fans of football and tennis and other sports. You are listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman. Stick with us. We'll be right back with more.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. For our next segment, we're going to talk about the connected home, how you can use your smartphone or your smart speaker to turn on your washer and dryer, set a timer, check on a load of laundry, get alerted when your fridge door is left open, and a lot more, with many solutions powered by LG. On how tech can add convenience to maintaining your home, we're joined by cleaning expert Melissa Maker, based in the Greater Toronto Area. Hi, Melissa. Thanks for your time.
Hey, Mark. It's great to be with you today.
So you call yourself an accidental cleaning expert. Please tell us what that means.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought this up because I did not get into cleaning because I'm passionate about it. I got into cleaning because I actually hate it, and I know other people struggle with it as well.
Sure.
So can you relate?
I can indeed. But you became an expert, so this is like your full-time thing.
I did, yeah. So in 2006, I started a cleaning business. I was a year out of business school and I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. But rather than going after, something that required a heavy investment, I decided I would get into cleaning, which was sort of light on the investment side, but heavy on the repeat business side.
Sure.
And then 5 years later, we started making YouTube videos, we being my husband and I. We started making digital cleaning content, and then we had a book come out and, oh my gosh, TikTok and a product line, it went wild. And we still have a cleaning business. So
that's so great. So congrats on your successes. So let's talk about household chores. I mean, let's face it, they seem to be never ending, especially coming out of the pandemic with more people at home than ever before.
Yeah. So you said they seem to be never ending. They actually are de facto never ending, whether it's cleaning, cooking, doing laundry. These chores take up a lot of time. In fact, according to a recent survey that LG commissioned, up to 300 hours a year.
That is an insane amount of time to be doing something that you don't like to do. What's the solution then? Is it sort of rely on tech to do some of the heavy lifting?
What's interesting about that survey is that more than half of these people felt that there just weren't enough hours in the day to tackle everything. And if you think about what 300 hours looks like, it's the equivalent of flying to the moon and back 4 times. Like, do that math. So if you're not planning a space mission, obviously there's a lot you could do instead of that. And, we'd rather be, spending time with friends and family or partaking in self-care activities. So yeah, you're right. Relying upon tech is one of the best ways that we can get help in our housework while still making time for ourselves.
I can see the convenience in that. And by the way, I did some math as well while we've been chatting. And that 300 hours a year on household chores may even be a conservative number, because that's only 5.5 hours a week. So I would think we do more than that, but that's sort of besides the point. So adding tech like an app or a smart speaker to control it and get notifications and all that helps. So how does that all work?
Well, let's use a couple of examples here. Say after a long day of summer activities with your kids, you need a nap, and hands up right here, because I have been there, but your laundry needs to be done. So if you have a smart appliance, like for example, the LG wash tower, which is gorgeous and so smart, you can actually remote start the washer from the comfort of your bed before you partake in that nap. Or if you want to get dinner started, but you have a video call and it's running long, we have all been in those calls, you can just preheat your LG InstaView oven from your home office by using the LG ThinQ app.
Like you were saying, you also can get notifications. So we all know what happens if you leave your clothes in the washer for too long after that load is done. You want to get it out and get it into the dryer or what have you. So it's also nice on the flip side to get push notification when things are done. Before we tell listeners where to get more info on all of this, I'd like to know, as a cleaning expert, what is the biggest mistake that we all make when it comes to doing our laundry, for example? Be honest.
I'm really glad you asked me this question. Separating out clothing, not only by color, but by fabric weight. This might sound really unique, but it's really important. So fabric weights, like let's say you have really heavy terry towels, and then you have light cotton tees, and you throw them all in one load because you think you're being energy efficient. But what ends up happening is that the heaviness of the towels rub against the lightness of those tees, and that creates pilling. And then people look at their clothes and they say, why do my t-shirts look so old and worn and the color is fading? Well, that's part of the reason. So just by washing your heavy stuff separately and then your light regular clothing separately, that makes a big difference in terms of the appearance and the life and longevity of your garments and items that you're laundering. And the second thing, Mark, is dosing. So people will either overdose their detergent, use too much, or underdose their detergent, use too little. I've had really good results using laundry detergent packs.
And to follow you on social, what would be the best place for our listeners?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Clean My Space. And we also have a website, cleanmyspace.com.
All right, Melissa, thanks so much for your time.
Same to you.
Before we get to our last segment with IBM Sports in a couple of moments from now, we do cover cybersecurity a lot on this program, Tech It Out, and how you can best protect yourself in the digital age, even if you're not super tech savvy. One part of the solution, though, is securely shopping online. And so I'm thrilled about my partnership with Visa on Tech It Out, as they've made significant investments in fraud prevention over the past 5 years. How much, you ask? $9 billion. That's billion with a B. That's to support Visa's brand promise to protect the financial information of both individuals and businesses. Zero liability means peace of mind when you shop online using your Visa card. There could be no half measures when it comes to cybersecurity, which is why the company takes an aggressive and multi-layered approach to combating the rising threat of malicious software and other threats by well-funded and global criminal enterprises. Read more about Visa and how securing the world's payments is priority one at visa.com/security. When we return on Tech It Out, we're going to be joined by IBM to talk sports. That's right. We'll be right back. Stick with us.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
Hey, do you love sports? Probably do. Well, you can thank technology for a better fan experience with new, interactive, and immersive experiences that fold in artificial intelligence and cloud computing to help pull the curtain back on how IBM is working with sports organizations, especially for tennis and football fans. We're joined on the line by Noah Saikin. He's Vice President of Global Sponsorships and Client Executive Programs at IBM. Hi, Noah. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
I know there are many sports fans who tune into this program, so why don't we jump right in? What are fans looking for when it comes to the future of sports?
Well, we think that fans are looking to get closer to the action. They're looking to know more about the players, know more about what's happening on the field. And increasingly, I think we're seeing fans that are having higher expectations for what technology can do to enrich their viewing or experience overall. I think the other thing that we think about is how can fans participate, right? In the social media era, everybody wants to have their say, if you will. They want to contribute their thoughts. And so we think about ways to engage fans and let them participate in the competition, even in a light way.
And how can technology facilitate that?
Yeah, well, these are new experiences that we can create. We can enrich broadcast experiences with new insights about the players or fans. And we can also enrich the in-stadium experience or the digital experiences. And so we really think about data as the source of that. How do we take the millions of points of data that get generated from the players, from the competition, and use that data to create new experiences?
All right, so whether you're at the game in person or you're experiencing it over TV or another medium, technology can enhance and enrich the viewing experience. And with that in mind, how did IBM work with the United States Tennis Association, the USTA, to bring the tournament to life this past year?
Yeah, so we're so excited that the U.S. Open's going on, and we really think about how players are playing. And with that, we're bringing the IBM Power Index to the U.S. Open. And if you paid attention, you could see there's different players that rise and fall over the course of the tennis tournament. And the premium that we put on the data is recency. How are those players playing leading up to the tournament in the early stages of the tournament? Mm-hmm. How are they playing on this on particular court surfaces? How did they play against the competition they're playing in this tournament? And that ranking that we deliver to fans through that Power Index also creates other points of value. Things like predictions for each singles match at the U.S. Open. So when you go to usopen.org, you're going to have the ability to understand who's predicted to win each match, but also vote and have your say about who you think is going to win, and then compare it to the AI and also compare it to other fans.
All right. So is there like a plain English example that you can give us as to what we would see with this data for those listening and trying to visualize this? Is it just raw numbers, or is there some video element to it?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And so one of the things that is super exciting is Serena's back at the U.S. Open. Prior to that match or any other match, you're going to be able to go and see what probability that player is going to win is. But also, they should look for other great features, IBM Match Insights, where we've synthesized over 100 million sources of information, all the written articles, blogs, video. We've taken all that information and synthesized it down to the most important facts for the fans.
We are chatting with Noah Saikin, VP of Global Sponsorships and Client Executive Programs at IBM. He's responsible, by the way, for leading IBM's global sponsorship portfolio, and that includes partnerships with the U.S. Open and Wimbledon for tennis, the Masters for golf, the Grammys, and more. And speaking of sports, Noah, what other partnerships does IBM have here?
Well, tennis is going on. The NFL season is kicking off as well. And so we work with ESPN and the ESPN Fantasy Football app to enrich that app with new insights and new capabilities powered by artificial intelligence. And so for all those millions of fantasy football players out there, you draft your team and now you start your season. But the key to fantasy football is how you manage your team through the season. When your players get hurt, when players are underperforming, you need to fill in the gaps. And that calls for trades with other players. And this year, we have the Watson-powered trade analyzer. So when you go to make that trade with your competitor, Watson's going to be there to analyze, is this a good trade for you? Is it a bad trade for you? Is it an equitable trade all around ESPN Fantasy Football Leagues?
Before we wrap up, why does IBM partner with these types of sports organizations?
Yeah, so first, folks can check out more about all of this at ibm.com/sports. But we really think about these programs as ways to demonstrate the full suite of IBM capabilities and the full suite of technology capabilities to fans around the world. Millions of people love these sporting events. but they also have decisions to make when they go back to the office on Monday. And so we hope to be able to engage them in new ways, give them new ways to imagine how technology can be applied, not just to sport, but to their business. And so that's one of the reasons that we engage in this kind of way in the world of sports.
Making a connection there. After all, data is bliss, not ignorance is bliss. So IBM.com/sports. Noah Sykin has been our guest. Thanks so much for carving out some time to chat, Noah.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to Tech It Out, everyone. A huge thank you to ASUS and Western Digital for your support. Have a great week ahead, everyone. We'll catch up with you next time for another episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.